Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We have with us Evan Berrett, Assistant to the City Administrator. And Evan's responsibilities are primarily with special projects. So to draw a comparison, the closest thing I could come to, if you're a 007 fan, Evan would be Q. Right? That's the way I think of it. So we're going to talk about several different things today because it's all special projects, right? So what are some of the things that are on your list that you'd like our viewers to know?
I mean, special projects, as you mentioned, it covers a lot of stuff. So I'm doing all sorts of analysis on a slew of topics that covers everything from policy and procedures to to what residents have to pay for through utilities, and I even do analysis on some of our city events and all sorts of other things that happen throughout the year. And sometimes it's short-term things, sometimes it's very long-term things and whatnot. So, but then under the umbrella of special projects, I mean, sometimes it's thinking bigger picture, what kinds of things may come down the road for Eagle Mountain. A lot of things I get asked about, for example, are, why don't we have our own police department and things like that. So stuff like that not necessarily is something that, one of our department heads can spend time looking at in depth. I'm the one that takes that on.
Yeah, and these are not things that maybe are readily noticeable, but it's much of the work that you do helps the city stay ahead of those situations or challenges or demands or changes that might be coming to the city. You're able to do that research, that analysis, to project all that out to help us identify what we need to do and where we need to go.
Yeah, it's especially challenging for a city like Eagle Mountain City, where we don't have the biggest team here in Eagle Mountain City. There's a lot of amazing people who do a whole lot of work, and it takes a lot of work for them just to keep things going the way they are, to keep things to where people hope the level of service would be. And so they don't have a lot of time to think ahead. They don't have a whole lot of time to innovate, to figure out how they can do things more efficiently and things like that. And so that's where some of the analysis and people like me can step in and try and help them where they need to focus on what's the here and now right now.
And there are some tools, resources perhaps I should say, that you tap into with our universities. Can you tell us a little bit about what happens there?
Yeah, I mean, Utah is fortunate to have some great university systems, especially, there's universities that we've had relationships with for several years. For example, BYU and UVU and others, we've recruited interns from them in particular. So there's a lot of staff who've gone through the Masters of Public Administration, for example, have been former interns and things like that. And we pull from those groups to get interns, because those interns end up providing some really valuable skills and time and energy to help us to get through some of these challenging analysis projects. And on the one hand, we give them specific tasks that this is something that we're going through this year. We could use some assistance from you, pull from your knowledge from the schools and whatnot to help us through those. But at the same time, we also give them some flexibility to work on projects that they deem necessary, as they're coming in from kind of an outside perspective and seeing things that are going on in Eagle Mountain, and they've learned about cities doing things in different ways elsewhere, and so they can pull in those outside experiences and help us improve as well. But on the other side of things, we also work with universities to help us just in ways that we can't really do things ourselves. So for example, Utah State University has done a lot of work to help us with our water conservation efforts. So Utah State University, obviously, they have a lot more expertise as far as figuring out what is the proper amount of water that goes into our lawns. I have learned a whole lot about lawns and trees and water conservation over the past few years, just working with USU on that, and that's been very invaluable information to help us realize what is practical, and what are some things that we can do to help residents tackle some of the challenges they may be having, and to also look forward as a city to see what things we can do policy-wise to kind of help us be a little bit more sustainable and a little bit more prepared for our growth.
And when we talk about interns, that's generally, it's a pretty broad title, but to be more specific, these are high-level interns. They're actually able to bring fresh information to the city and fresh perspective and apply it to real-life situations here in Eagle Mountain.
Right, yeah, so Eagle Mountain, and we actually employ interns in a few different places in Eagle Mountain. The ones I'm specifically talking about are management interns that are typically in a master's program. And so they already got their 4-year degree behind them. They've got quite a bit of education behind them, and even maybe sometimes some experience already behind them to kind of help supplement some of the work we're doing. But we also have interns in our engineering department on occasion, and other places as well. And our goal is to help them get as much hands-on experience as possible. They're not here just to take care of the dirty work that we don't want to do ourselves. They're here to really help push our organization forward in several ways. So.
And because there's so much going on in Eagle Mountain, for the interns, this city tends to be highly sought after by those interns because they can get such good experience here in Eagle Mountain.
Yeah, we have a long track record of having great interns, having lots of people interested in our internships program. So we look forward every year to bringing in new interns, and looking forward to their contributions that they provide.
Now, I'm sure there are a lot of projects that you are working on that we're probably not ready to talk about, but what are some things that you can mention to our viewers?
So for example, one of the bigger, goals or initiatives coming up in 2022 is to try and engage with the residents better, to have them be able to communicate with the city their interests, their desires better, but then also to help provide information back to them a little bit better as far as what's going on in the city, helping them to be more prepared for road construction coming, and being prepared for really anything, because Eagle Mountain's growing in every way possible, basically, and so there's a lot of information that can go back and forth between residents and the city, and so we have a whole lot more tools and resources at our disposal now than we've ever had before, and so we're going to use those. We're going to use those to really ramp up the communication.
So the city website is constantly evolving, and I understand there's a project in relation to that to make that even more user-friendly, or at least that information and that communication that you're talking about. What is that exactly?
Yeah, so our city website has been great. I mean, we went through a new web design, a new redesign of the city website just a couple years ago, and that was really meant to help us get some more flexibility in how we present that information to the residents.
And we added the resident portal,
right,
which made it more user-friendly.
Yeah, that's more of a recent addition, and that was meant to really just kind of help residents get to the high demand information faster, be able to help residents find that kind of critical information all in one place, rather than having to go from place to place to find those different tidbits of information. And that resident portal, one of the advantages of our website that we have now is it's a little bit more mobile friendly. We know that tons of residents, the vast majority of residents, access the website via mobile. And so we tried to make that as mobile friendly as possible. But it's never been as good as we want it to be, or as highly functional as we want it to be, just because it's built on a website. So we've been exploring other options, and we had a new option recently come up to do a mobile app. And we know that mobile apps can be costly, mobile apps can be a bit complicated, and sometimes get abandoned by cities over time. But we're happy that we have a new solution that actually doesn't cost us really anything to put together, and it's going to give us a lot more flexibility as far as how we get the information updated, and it's going to be really easy to use for our residents, and it's going to take that resident portal, all the stuff that you find in the resident portal and more, and pull that into more of a mobile app type of functionality. And so we're pretty excited for that.
Well, great. That sounds like that will be a lot more convenient, particularly on our phones, because we'll be able to get right where we want to go and communicate, either get information or send information. When do you expect that to roll out?
The goal right now is we're aiming for January, so very beginning of the new year. Everything is basically already set up. We're just doing some final testing and modifications, and it's really opened a lot of doors for us as far as what we can do with it. And so we just want to make sure it's as complete as possible, and it's ready to go.
Well, that sounds like that'll be a great asset in improving that communication, making it faster, making it easier. And we'll also look forward to other projects that you're working on to see where that takes the city. So thank you, Evan, for all that you do. And thank you, viewers, for joining us. And we'll look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Appreciate it.